What is up, everybody? It's Sam, and we are back with another episode of Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. I have returning guest on the pod, Collin.
Hi, everybody.
And brand new guest, Silly Goose.
Silly Goose, any zingers for the crowd?
Say something.
Yeah, nothing.
Next time.
No
He's just
thoughts.
warming up, folks.
Look how empty that head is.
Give him a sec. This is actually an incredible bag.
It is an incredible bag.
He is a purse.
He is a purse. I actually, this year, this past month, I rounded out. I have one bag of every color in the rainbow.
Wow, do you really?
I do.
That's actually very impressive.
Yeah. I wanted to do like a little, we have a friend, Evan, who
Yes. Oh, yes.
like has so many great photos of all of our friends and their amazing senses of style. Whereas.
Shout out.
Whereas. Whereas.
Whereas.
I want to do something a little akin to that of like, I need to get like a picture of all of them together or something.
Totally.
And of course,
that's a
Silly
good
Goose
personal
is my
style
king there.
pick.
Yeah. It would be a good one.
Yeah.
I want to be like a short one because I think in terms of clothes,
sure.
I just got clothes. I don't have
well,
like,
as someone who wears scrubs all day, I think I understand.
that is true. The break that I have to the scrubs are t-shirts that say Rush right here.
Totally.
So I think I'm a little bit of a plain Jane in terms of clothes.
That's why you spike it up with the specs.
Exactly. I got like watches, glasses, funny bag,
accessories.
Accessories. I thought that was. That
makes sense, honestly.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think we're lucky to have friends that have like such great dynamic style. You being one of them.
Oh my God, thank you. I won't say no.
Another one of my friends, Lily Hansen, Meg Delaney, Britt Bush, all of them.
Style queens.
Thrifty stuff. Like you're guilty of this.
I am.
Oh my God, where did you get this? Some piece of shit thrift store in Howabaka,
AKA,
Wisconsin.
You'll never have the same.
AKA, don't bother asking. It's mine. I have the last one in existence.
Literally.
Boo.
I'm also so guilty of being like, oh my God, I got it on sale.
Oh my God.
Midwestern.
Yes. I don't think I mean, it's not that I can't be that. I just think it's a lot of effort for me to commit to that.
Yeah.
I get a lot of like imposter syndrome. Like I'll put on like a very slay outfit and
I'll
be
really?
like,
that's interesting.
Yes, I do. Like I'll wear an outfit and then I'll like walk around and get ready in it, and then I don't know. I'll realize, oh, wait a minute. I feel a little funny in this. So then it would I always downgrade.
Yeah.
I did that today. Like I wasn't wearing a t-shirt before I came here.
Totally.
But like at 2 minutes before my lift showed up on my parents' place, I was like, no, I don't want to wear this.
We've got to change.
And then I changed from like a normal purse and fun shirt to normal shirt.
Silly Goose.
Silly Goose. Anything? What'd you call me? So, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's okay.
See, I actually do the opposite where like right before I'm about to leave the house, I never feel like I'm dressed up enough.
Ooh, but I think that's maybe better. I mean, especially if you have the clothes to dress it up.
Fair.
I feel like it would be worse to feel like you're underdressed and you actually can't elevate even further.
Right. No, and I think, I love a heel, so I'm constantly wearing a heel even when it actually makes no sense to wear heels.
When does it not make sense?
There have been times when I went to Europe with my mother, all I brought was heels, and all we were walking on was the most rickety cobblestone you've literally ever seen in your life.
Yes.
Like we're breaking ankles out here, baby.
Yeah, the ancient roads.
Yes.
Of like it's not even like stepping stones. It's just rocks.
We were like walking up and down the hills of Lisbon, Portugal, and like literally just like piles of rocks.
Do you wear like, when it comes to heels, what's your max walkable length or height of a heel.
I will say I feel like I'm a well-trained heel girl because I wear them so often that they actually don't faze me. I usually like last the longest at a wedding and keeping my heels on, that type of thing.
Oh, you aren't even a flip-flop girl.
No, we're
that's
keeping
impressive.
them on.
That's committing to the bit.
And I feel like I usually go for chunky because obviously you can last longer in that.
Sure, less likely to break an ankle in a chunky.
For sure.
Yep.
And I feel like I aim for like 2 to 3 inches usually.
That's fair.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
That's nothing crazy. I do have a lot of friends that have like their thing is like, it doesn't matter if it's a boot, it doesn't matter if it's like an open toe, a pump. It is this big, and at least this tall.
I know the skinny ones will get you,
and I will say they are the friends who always end up in boots.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
So
yeah, there is sort of a correlation going on there.
Yeah, the cause and effect may be at play.
Which I will say, upon moving here too, I have just felt so much more like I can experiment with my clothes. Because in Madison, it kind of depends on where you are. I feel like because it's a college town, it lends itself towards being casual, but also the girlies do love to get dressed up.
They do.
But nothing like here. Like in Madison, everyone dresses the same.
Sure. It's much more, it's a college town, so everyone is...
You want to fit in.
Yeah, you want to fit in, which means whatever the vibe is, like athleisure.
Right.
Or I think a few years, like... I could definitely tell at the beginning of my time in college, like we overlapped 2 years.
Yeah.
A lot of it was like very Vineyard Vines.
Totally.
Like,
that was the big...
Like, why would you bother wearing a t-shirt if it doesn't have a fucking whale on it? Like, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I could imagine like going to a city like Chicago where it's... there's so much more... there's much more of like a myriad of ways to dress.
I feel like people do a lot more self-expression here. Like you're very much more like projecting what you want versus trying to like match everybody else.
Oh, exactly. And I think I tread that line in certain ways.
Totally.
Like, again, I may aim for a little more of like a basic outfit.
Sure.
But then I find ways to
those
have
accessories, baby.
Accessories. I have... How many pairs of glasses do I have?
Every time I see you, you're wearing a new pair.
I like that I can switch it up. It's like why just change an earring when you can change a complete lens and like have that suit a different outfit. I've got 2 wire aviators. I have a tortoise shell. I've got 2 plastic ones, including these. Then I have my work glasses. And
do you wear the same pair to work?
Yes,
pretty consistently?
That one I wear the same pair to work because with these ones, they can hang a little bit.
Sure.
And if I'm like hanging over a patient's... Sorry, let me paint the picture. This is a patient's dick. If I am hanging over it like this, I don't want my glasses to be like...
You can't be touching the
down
tip.
Here. No.
Yeah.
No. They should... Objectively, I don't think that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And also... I don't wanna.
No, that makes sense.
So I have glasses that
like
they're almost. Do you know what skoggles are?
Oh, they have like a.
Yes,
they're connected.
They're not connected, but they are like bent purposely around the crown of my head so that they purposely don't move.
Okay. Work friendly.
Exactly. And then I think I've got 3 other pairs. So I almost have 10 pairs.
Sometimes I wear fake glasses. I actually sat on my last 2 pairs, so I don't have them anymore. Well, they're not totally fake. They're blue light. So if you believe in blue light, then they're real.
Light do be blue.
Light do be blue.
Light do be blue.
That is, and I've always said that.
And I've always said that. The color blue is part of light. Yeah. So why shouldn't I have glasses for it?
Straight up. They're also just like the sneakiest way to not wear makeup when you're on your Zoom calls.
Oh, absolutely.
Simple, really.
I had 1 pair of blue light glasses while I was working nights.
Yeah.
And when I was in nursing school before I got prescriptions.
Yeah.
That definitely made sense because the times that I wouldn't wear them, sitting in the dark.
I know. Not blinking.
Not blinking for 12 hours.
Yeah.
That... You would definitely feel your eyes like cook.
Yeah.
And then if you put them on, it's just like a little bit better.
At least there's a shield.
At least there's a shield. That's the other function of those work glasses.
Yeah.
No urine in these eyes, baby.
Literally.
You got me.
You got to protect yourself.
Exactly.
I have always wished that I had prescription glasses because I think I'd be like you. I think glasses are a fun thing to change constantly.
You absolutely would.
Yeah.
You absolutely would. I didn't necessarily, when I first got a prescription, I wasn't thinking like, I'm going to be the...
Totally.
Mark Kohler actually said that. He was like, you're like Michelle Visage. Like you keep changing, like you keep changing your glasses. And at first I was like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
Totally.
Yeah, I completely am.
Is that an expensive thing to get them all prescription?
No, here's the thing. It depends on where you get them from. A lot of my first pairs of glasses were all Warby Parker.
Sure.
So then, yes.
You're spending.
Yeah, I was dropping a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then a problem too is that I would drop a lot of money on like glasses that I'm like, oh, I like these.
Yeah.
And then I grow to resent them in 2 months.
Totally.
And then I don't wear them. Like my first few pairs, I don't wear at all because I realized I was just buying them going like, someone told me that these would look good on me. Right. So I just went, sure, okay.
Yeah.
And now I don't like them. But since then I've been getting from I Buy Direct.
Okay.
Which is a lot more cost effective.
Okay,
like
that's good.
Pairs of glasses, even with prescription, are more like about $60.
Not sponsored.
No, it is sponsored. I didn't tell Sam this, but ibuydirect.com. Use promo code Collin. That's CAHLLIN ! And parentheses.
Simple, really.
Simple. And I get a slice of all of your glasses. Thanks.
And an extra pair for Silly Goose.
Yeah, and an extra pair for Silly Goose. I feel like Silly Goose would be contacts, though.
That makes sense.
Like, look into those eyes. There's nothing there.
There's really nothing going on. Dead inside.
Or
Lights
there's
on, nobody's
mystery.
home.
Endless mystery. Anything?
And there's something to be said about that.
Very profound of you.
Silly Goose.
Silly Goose.
Always with the zingers.
Always with the zingers. So, you've brought me on again.
And it's my pleasure and my honor.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you didn't move away from me. Not yet.
Didn't move away. So, let's talk about moving.
Let's.
So, here's what at least was happening. Here's what my August was.
Totally.
We had talked a little bit about this, but... my lease was ending September 1st, which is tomorrow.
Literally.
It's tomorrow.
At the time
August,
of recording.
Yeah, August is nearly done now.
Summer is dead and gone.
Summer's dead and gone. I was trying to, like working my ass off to try and find a new apartment.
Yeah.
And we're now starting, at least maybe it was the time that I was looking, I don't know, but I got into 2 bidding wars for rentals.
Yeah, that's scary. Which I will say I did participate in that in order to get this place, but I'm not proud.
This deserves it. However, and that's why I didn't end up engaging it very much, is because they were apartments that were like a garden unit in Ravenswood.
Totally.
So shut up. This apartment's got bugs. Right. I know it. And I know I'm not paying an extra
it's
$150.
Underground.
It's like, yeah, this is underground. My window is this big. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And the other one was a very meh apartment above like a Cleaners in Uptown.
Okay.
So both of those, it wasn't going to be a forever apartment anyway.
It's just everybody looking?
Apparently. But those were the ones I actually got to see.
Sure.
And wanted to sign. There were multiple other ones that I was teed up to tour, but it was signed before I could even see it. Mm-hmm. So housing was very much like, you fucking thought.
Yeah, literally.
And sorry about it if any of my coworkers hear this, but I don't like my job.
And that will happen. And that will happen.
Rush, if you're listening, I don't like my job. I'm so sorry.
And he said it.
And I said that. So, housing, not working. Job, not working.
For sure.
So, I have managed to address both of those things in one fell swoop by engaging in travel contract.
Yeah.
So
about to make bank, baby.
About to make some shmoney. The plan was originally like a grand move.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go to New York, I'm gonna go to California, and I'm gonna leave Chicago behind.
Totally.
Now that I've had a month to kind of sober up and realize that it's maybe not that attainable yet to do that right now, I also kind of thought more about why I would be doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe it would be kind of more of a crutch.
Sure.
Like, does that solve problems? Completely uprooting your life and flipping it over? I don't know.
It puts a Band-Aid over some. I will say I think it does solve some. It depends on the problems.
It depends on the problem. If the problem truly is like, if I had been in Chicago for like going on a decade,
yeah,
and I feel like I really had exhausted everything,
totally,
then maybe,
yeah.
But I have only been in Chicago since October 2021.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that that I can even argue I've done everything that there is to do. I've lived everywhere. No, I lived in the same apartment for 2 years.
Totally.
So I can't argue that.
Because I will say, upon leaving Madison, I think I was starting to hit that.
Sure.
But I had been in Madison since I was 8.
Right. So that would definitely take you there.
Yeah.
Kyle and I were talking about that, where he had this big leap of faith moving from Texas to Chicago.
Totally.
There are times where I think that is appropriate.
Yeah.
However, I think I was maybe a little more like dissatisfied in too many facets of my life and thought that I could
solve it with
one big sweep, which it could definitely change it, but does it solve it?
Right.
What do I leave, but what problems stay in Chicago?
Sure.
And what things would kind of follow me wherever you go?
That's so true.
Especially if you're in a funk.
Yeah.
You think that the funk is relative to...
Oh, honey, that cloud, she's coming with you, babe.
Yeah, that cloud follows.
Yeah.
That cloud follows. I think that was definitely a big motivator in me wanting to GTFO.
Yeah.
Was being in a funk.
I understand that. I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
What was your last funk?
I feel like for me, honestly, it was probably like pandemic-ish times, which I mean, obviously she played a role. But I wouldn't say, so this is interesting because I think a move did kind of come out of it upon moving to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of had plans to move pre-pandemic too. And then obviously like that whole thing happened and we were like, now is not the time. You're not going to make new friends.
No, just having the plan is not really enough.
It's not.
Even wanting it.
Yeah.
Even doing everything that you can to make it happen.
Right.
Is actually not enough.
Right.
That's just how the world is.
And like we stayed and it wasn't even so much, I think for me, it wasn't even just like Madison. But quite literally almost all of my friends had moved away at that point.
Sure.
So, and I still had like coworkers and people that I was friendly with, but like none of my like super close friends.
None of your core people.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Zoe and
even they were gone.
Yeah, they were gone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like they were on the other side of the globe.
Right.
But it just mattered enough that they weren't there.
Right. And like Milwaukee, that's the thing. I was going to Milwaukee like every other weekend.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, like I think I need something. But I also feel like, I mean, I don't know. I think even pandemic times, like James and I were living together and we were never leaving the house. And so like that put a strain on our relationship. Plus we were essentially living in a studio apartment. We did survive that though.
Ooh, yeah. If you can live through that, if you can live through living on top of each other every day.
And never leaving the fucking house.
Yes. Never leaving the fucking house. Taking your hot girl walk. Literally just to keep
put a little distance.
Keep serotonin soaking around in your noggin. Yeah, then you have to do that.
Yeah.
But that I think is a good example of what a move can solve.
Yes.
Is a true change of both space, because if we haven't talked about it enough on the pod, this apartment's amazing.
I think so too.
And it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
But necessarily there also is a scenario where you guys move to Chicago, get this great apartment, and you're still in the funk.
Right.
But that also proves to show that the funk is not relative to where you are.
It's really
or
not.
Even your job, because I think didn't you kept the same job?
Well, I will say I actually...
Or did you change?
I also had a funk due to my last job. And those things were all kind of happening at the same time. My last job, I really liked that job for a long time. I was actually there for like 2.5 years. And it was a great experience, and I'm still so thankful for it. But my boss and I very much disagreed in terms of like politics. And I think it was during a very polarizing time.
Absolutely.
Trump was president.
Politics may prove to be still forever polarizing. If it wasn't before Trump and everything, it will remain that way.
I think so too.
Probably.
And it was also because it was one of those things where, like, going into the job, I could kind of see some of those, like, you know, I wouldn't even know if I would have called them red flags at the time. Maybe like yellow, orange.
Sure. Yeah. Something you're like, I don't love that.
Right.
But I don't think it's...
But it's work.
Yeah, but how is it going to affect me?
And little did I know.
And it proves to affect you.
It really does.
Especially over time, that yellow fades to orange.
Oh my God, it gets bright fucking red.
Gets sunburned.
Burning hot.
Burning lava hot.
And so it was very much time to leave. And it was actually at a salon in the Madison area. And like, there was kind of like everyone left. And I was like, okay, it's time to go. Like when everyone's going,
there's a sign there.
You gotta head out.
I do worry about, because I am about to, so I'm living at home right now. I'm gonna get a little contract local in Illinois. So I'm living at home, change the job, change where I'm living.
Right.
But complete change.
Right.
I need to find out if this cloud is going to follow and linger.
Totally.
To really understand exactly what the cloud is.
That makes sense.
Because it could be subjective to...
You feel like you don't know yet.
No, I don't think I know yet. I've dealt with a few clouds. I mean, sometimes they come, sometimes they go. But if it's if it's a recurring thing, then it's not really gonna matter where you are.
That's very true.
Because it may be a part of you that you're predisposed to the same stuff. Like for me, I definitely think it's like loneliness.
Totally.
And definitely, now that I've thought about it, moving somewhere that I wouldn't have anybody would be a fun challenge for me, because I'm incredibly sociable. Like, I can meet new people.
You are so good at meeting new people.
I can meet new people. That's not the problem. However, if it doesn't fill my cup enough, then I'm gonna feel it, and then it'll be there, and I'll have to reckon with it.
Yeah. Well, and in my experience, like, meeting new people and forming deeper relationships with people are two very different things.
Incredibly different.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think I'm that type of person where I can meet new people. I can have all these friends in all these circles.
Right.
But if none of them know me, and if I don't really know them, then it doesn't really do the trick.
Of course.
And maybe most people are like that. Some people aren't. Some people are true butterflies where
some people love bouncing around, not to say surface friendships, but like, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to. If they have their 2 or 3 anchors,
right,
and they have like a small militia of friends across across all of Chicago, then that's good enough for some people. But I honestly think I need to figure out what type I am.
Yeah.
And if I were to completely uproot my life and go to a city where I don't have anybody, where one of the cities I was considering was Portland, another one was San Francisco, where I really pretty much don't know a soul. Yeah. That would not, probably wouldn't solve those problems, if that is the problem.
Well, and I think that's good of you to recognize, because honestly, I think sometimes, like, it seems like this like magical fix to go somewhere new, and you have this idea that everything will fall into place. And it's not to say that it wouldn't necessarily,
or that it can't, or how long that would take,
right? Because honestly, I kind of feel like some of that is what happened to me here, just through sheer luck. And Grace Ferrello
and Grace Ferrello. Shout out to Grace Ferrello for being the glue that made this entire
straight up
again militia of friends.
That's my Chicago militia right there.
That's our militia.
She's my mafia
we
boss.
Don't have guns, we have goose purses,
literally. Slay.
But that is a fair thing. It's easier to land in a catcher's mitt than hope that the descent will just work out.
That's so true.
And you could fall completely on your face. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you can't get back up, but it does mean that the transition is going to be even harder. Yeah. And maybe I'm not built for it right now.
Totally.
Don't know.
Well, and I do think it's hard if it's already, maybe coming from that place of like you have a cloud or you're working through something. Like, I think if you were feeling if you were feeling like $1 million and you were like, I want to move to
$1 million
Portland where I know nobody.
$1 million and bored.
Yeah.
Then yes. Then maybe then.
Yes.
But I think I had such a infatuation with that idea.
Sure.
And it's not that I can't do it. It's just that maybe the time is not right now.
That's fair.
The contract is going to be for about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows where I could be on the end of that. I could be, you know what? I am ready to go.
Totally.
And then I could make that decision.
I think there was also, that's true too, because then it's more, I actually think that's really nice because then you have the time to actually make up your mind versus I feel like you were also working against the clock because your lease was up.
Oh, absolutely. That was definitely a big factor with it is definitely new, dissatisfied with the conditions of my job.
Right.
And don't have anywhere to live.
Right.
So
time was up.
Right. Time was of the essence and it was up. So it definitely made sense to want to figure that out.
Yeah.
But that doesn't give you the answers.
Yeah.
It definitely makes the choice for you, which I think is easy to do.
Right.
It is easy to say, no, I don't know. I don't know what kind of nurse I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't know where I want to live, the person I want to be, all of that.
Yeah.
And a new place could provide that answer. But again, if we're talking about the funk, if we're talking about the cloud can still follow and it could still be a barrier.
Right.
Even if I go to like another place I was considering was New York and I have cousins there, I have friends there. So even in a scenario where like you had the catcher's mitt that is Grace Ferrolo to help have a smooth descent in Chicago, that still also could have, in another world, it could have proved to be like I've got familiar faces, but I don't have those connections.
Yeah.
I'm a little satellite and I don't feel like you have like you don't feel like you have a home base, but again, you got the nice home, you got a better job, you fixed that.
Yeah.
You can fix a few things, but what does that change?
Yeah.
It can change a lot in your life.
Yeah.
But does it solve everything?
Well, and I think too, in my instance, I will say, I didn't necessarily know how much Grace and I would hang out upon moving here.
No.
Because I knew that she already had such like she's been here literally since school. Mm-hmm. So I knew she had such a community and I wasn't necessarily expecting to like dive right in.
Right. Or like
she's just the kind of person who envelopes everyone.
She's the type of person to bring people in. But if she wasn't that type of person and if you guys didn't have that type of connection that could have withstanded, the pandemic, because that definitely changes friendships.
Oh my God, yeah.
B, moving into a new place that doesn't
being back in the same city.
Exactly, being back in the same city. Does that make that transition automatically easier?
Right.
There's no guarantee.
No.
So that definitely could have proved to have happened. Thankfully, it didn't.
Yeah.
And now you're about 1 year in.
Mm-hmm.
Any regrets or anything that you could have done differently?
I don't think I honestly have any regrets. I do feel, again, most of it, I just feel lucky because I think I know even friends of mine who have moved and haven't necessarily had the same experience. I also know that just like in general, making friends as an adult working person can be challenging because like how do you just go out and meet people? You can meet coworkers, but that's its own kind of relationship.
Yes, and sometimes it can be perfect. Like I've got some of my nurses from this job, I can tell I'm going to be friends with them until I'm dead.
Oh, that's nice.
Which I'm so lucky to have gotten out of that. And it also does help too to identify like, hey, this is what I need in a job, and it better not. But jobs in the future better not feature this. Yeah, because I can't deal with that
for sure.
But having good coworkers does not mean my coworkers are my besties, right? And yes, in the capitalist world, it consumes a lot of your life. Yeah, but you don't have to. You aren't even guaranteed that it can fulfill you in those ways.
Definitely not.
Socially, personally, spiritually, all of those things could land partial credit. Mm-hmm. And then what do you have? Mm-hmm. You got to figure out another way to find people. Right. We're not in school anymore. I mean, there are adult clubs. Yeah. But
you could do a rec sport.
You could do a rec sport.
My worst fear.
You could do a rec sport, and you could serve cunt.
Literally,
like we did
We're on the cheer squad
from the sidelines.
Literally.
Shout out to the water boys.
As we are meant to be.
As we're meant to be.
I'm a sidelines girly through and through.
Absolutely. No, I only touch balls at work.
Hilarious.
with gloves on.
Legally.
But you have opportunities like that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to maybe like try and find something new like that. Like
you have to seek it out.
Yeah, like did Grace play volleyball?
Right.
Like when she was younger? I don't know.
Right.
But it doesn't matter because you can still try something new like that. But you have to have that on your radar and how to find it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that is something that I didn't challenge myself to do while I was in Chicago.
Sure.
Is not a sports girly, so that wouldn't make sense.
Literally same.
But did I have that opportunity, or did I pursue something to be like, how do I find people that do what I like to do, and I can find a way to do it with them?
Right. You gotta pick up a fucking hobby. It's so hard.
I gotta pick up a hobby. And I got a few, so maybe that is something that I need to challenge myself with doing. But I think taking a step away and being in the suburbs can maybe kind of help you understand what's missing.
Yeah.
Because you're not amongst all the familiar faces, all the familiar people.
Not in your usual environment.
Right. But you have the opportunity to kind of like, if you're at home, you need to pick up a hobby.
Yeah.
Like that's how we got through the pandemic.
Totally.
So I think I need to take that time to remind myself, what do you like to do?
Yeah.
What is missing?
Mm-hmm.
And that arrow could point back to Chicago. I think I am so lucky to have people like you and Grace, Kyle, and Silly Goose. Who will be here regardless. But I think I need to understand where I lie within that timeline.
Yeah.
Like I am 2 years in.
Totally.
Can't say I've done it all.
Sure.
If I actually haven't done it. If I haven't challenged myself.
Yeah.
So I think I need to find ways to remind myself of what's most important and what needs to be done on my part.
Sure.
Because no one's going to do it for you.
We love a self-aware king.
Well, sometimes you've got friends who join the rec league.
Totally.
And bring in everybody else into the fold, whether you're literally on the court or not.
True. That's true.
But I don't think that that's a good strategy to...
No, you can't count on it. You can't rely on it.
No, to fulfill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it's easier to do when you have a partner that you know that you guys are like...
And I will say...
going to do that together.
I think that's another reason why moving here was a little bit easier of a choice, was because I was doing it with somebody.
Totally.
I think it's very brave to move to a new place alone.
Yeah. And I think I'm brave enough to do it.
I think you are too.
But the question is, it's not that you like have the chutzpah to do it.
Right. Like no one's really questioned your braveness. It's more like, are you doing it for the right reasons?
Right. What am I trying to run away from?
Yeah.
Am I running away from like having too much history?
Sure.
But also Chicago's big. I think, is big. And I only lived in, like I said, one apartment, one neighborhood. So like what could moving to a completely different neighborhood,
right,
getting a completely different job, what could that do? It could round out the pieces that I need that I can't polish on my own, at least internally.
Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, you have the opportunity to move later, you know?
Exactly. That will always be there. Which
I will say, it works both ways. If you did move now and you decided that wasn't the right choice.
Right. Then I can always come back.
Chicago's not going anywhere.
Right. So I think this will at least give me that time to answer those questions internally, and then also be a little more mindful of what has been waiting in the city that I've been like feeling that vacancy of.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's going to be a nice journey for you.
It will be. I think we all need to kind of go through some type of journey like that. And it could be big, it could be small, it could be across the country, or it could even just be on like the other side of a state border.
Yeah.
Like from
straight up.
Yeah, from city that you have known like the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Where you've gone to school both as a kid, as a teenager, and as an adult.
College student, yeah.
All of that can definitely help you understand. Yeah, I know Madison. Yeah. I know everything about it.
Every little nook and cranny.
I know every nook and cranny. I know every place to get an old fashioned. Straight up. I know where to not order one.
Honestly.
Where do you not order an old fashioned in Madison, Wisconsin? Call them out.
I will say you can get Wisconsin old fashions are like the brandy old fashions. You can pretty much get one wherever. The best ones, the old fashioned, a restaurant on the square is an obvious choice. You can actually get a really good old fashioned at Tipsy Cow, which is kind of more of like Lean's pub / dive bar.
Sure.
Doesn't always know what it wants to be. That
I like in a bar. I like that you can kind of tread a line between, is this towny? Right. It's not. It's definitely local people, because you wouldn't be in that bar if you didn't live there. But there are some people who are Madison natives. Yes. And there are some people who are literally just passing through visiting for school.
Yeah. I will say too, I think every single bar in Madison could be considered towny, depending on the day.
Probably.
Even the ones that don't want to be, if you kind of look around and people are wearing flannel, you're like, okay.
And you're like, okay, I get that. Yeah. Yeah, I know you. I don't know you, but I know you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think I love Madison, so I feel like that was an important thing of it too. Like we left on good terms.
Absolutely. Your parents are still there.
Yeah.
James's parents just moved, but did they stay in Madison?
They're like on the outskirts. They're really not far. Madison's pretty small, so.
Sure. And they're, even if they're adjacent, it's, you have so much still there. Yeah. So that it's there when you want it.
And frankly, I've been going there too much recently. I need a little bit of a break.
Oh, man. With how long my parents have been in the suburbs. Yeah. Like, Chicago will always be here.
Totally.
Like, my parents are not moving anywhere else. Yeah. I know that. My grandparents are in the same suburb that my parents are in. Very clearly, it's like that's where home base is going to stay. So
it's kind of nice to know that too.
Yeah. Oh, that's definitely such a good thing about debating like leaving Chicago, is there's no scenario where like my home base will ever be, at least with regards to family. Yeah. Will be anywhere else. Right. So the city will always be here, and I know that there will always be at least one familiar face.
Totally.
Which is enough.
It makes the decision easier, because I do feel like, even if it's, where you grew up and your parents end up moving away, I have a couple of friends who that's happened to. And then it's always interesting when they do kind of come through Madison, which is, again, rare occasion, because it's much more like, oh, this isn't really home anymore. I don't even really know what I'm doing here. Like, what an odd out-of-body experience that probably is.
I don't know if I'll ever feel that with Chicago.
Sure.
Definitely with, like, because my parents moved out of the suburb that at least I grew up in. Yeah. Moved to a new one. So me going back there, that's definitely like this was home at some point. Yeah. I can know it like the back of my hand, but it's still not home anymore. Yeah.
And that feels fine to you?
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I do have a friend and she ended up like settling down, like her and her fiance are out there. So I'll have them, and I'll have like all the memories, that type of stuff. But that doesn't mean that you want to like go back there without an agenda.
For sure.
It's not all like your visits to Madison are probably pretty purposeful. You're not just going down there because you're out of like sheer boredom.
It's true.
But you could also always go back out of like feeling like you're missing something.
Right. Yeah. Feeling a little nostalgic.
No, absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
What parts of Madison, aside from family, are the things that you like miss the most?
That's a great question. I definitely miss Willie Street, the area that I used to live on, like James and I. It was like a natural progression from kind of being downtown amongst all of like the students. Mm-hmm. You move to the other side of the Capitol once you graduate. So that's where kind of like all the young professionals are. And the east side is, I would say, up and coming, for lack of a better term. But it's still very like hippy dippy. Mm-hmm. And so like a lot of the people who live over there still right now are like old kind of like retirees who like totally tap into that hippie culture.
Yes.
Mixed with like, you know, the kids who work at Epic.
Right.
So it's a funny little mixture. Mm-hmm. I will say I do miss being... Chicago is definitely a walkable city, but like you have to probably hop on public transportation if you're going to leave your neighborhood.
Yes, especially, and nothing against Logan, but Logan is
and she's far away.
She's far away. I always say that Logan is an island because you like getting out here is
not easy.
Much easier said than done. There are few buses.
Yeah.
Like Chicago has a decent amount of buses, but not all of them will cross through Logan just because of where it is in the vicinity.
And you can guarantee that no matter what, it's going to take you an hour.
At least.
Yeah.
And then if we're talking like to try and circumvent that, there's just the Blue Line.
Yeah, literally.
Which is about as reliable as metaphor for unreliability.
Straight up. Well, and it also, I mean, it takes you into the loop.
Right.
And it's like, that's not necessarily where I'm trying to go.
Right, because it only goes one direction, O'Hare or the loop.
Yeah.
And if neither is really your destination, if you're trying to get somewhere like...
No.
Like, how do you get to Lincoln Park?
I pretty much hop on two buses. I get on the 73 and then I always have to get on something else.
Exactly. So Chicago has its own faults in that yes, it's walkable, but it's relative to what neighborhood you're in.
Yes.
Where you're actually trying to go.
Yeah.
There will be points where it stops being walkable.
For sure.
There's some times that you can get around with one form of transit, but it needs to work out conveniently with vicinity to the loop.
Or you're spending cash on Ubers.
Ooh, yeah. The Uber down here from the suburbs was $35.
No.
Man, you know, I had a gift card.
Okay, totally. Damn, that's what I should start asking for Christmas.
Uber and Lyft.
Gift cards.
Uber and Lyft gift cards. They make them. And the Uber gift cards are good because you can use that for Uber Eats.
Oh, okay. That's dangerous.
But also I have a ton of DoorDash gift cards.
Well, once you get Chase Sapphire, I'm such a DoorDash girly now. I'm loyal.
Oh my God. I need to get on a new credit card. I just had a fraudulent charge on my debit from Panera Bread. Panera Bread. They were hungry. $13.56.
Okay.
Charged at 6:51 Pacific Standard Time.
That sounds like the price of a bread bowl, baby.
That is a bread bowl. If you know what, if you're in California and you charged a bread bowl to my debit card, fuck you for that. However, what kind of soup?
Yeah, literally.
Because
broccoli cheddar.
There are wrong answers. Yeah. Broccoli cheddar is a right answer. Tomato basil is a right answer.
Yeah, it is.
Chicken noodle is a wrong answer.
I agree.
The chicken noodle at Panera Bread is
hospital.
It's hospital. I mean, there literally is a Panera in Rush. So
that makes sense.
Yes, hospital.
I mean, everything at Panera kind of teeters on hospital food, but especially the chicken noodle.
But there are still right and wrong answers.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what are some other like fast food chains that it's very clear, like, yes, you should order this, and no, you should not order that.
I feel that way about noodles.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which is also a fast casual.
That is fast casual. There are some things that you order there, and it's like, this is bad.
It's bad.
This is bad, and I paid $15.
My two go-tos are penne rosa.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the pesto cavatappi.
Yes. They have a Korean noodle.
Oh, I've never had that.
That one is pretty good.
Okay.
However, beef stroganoff, bad.
Bad choice.
Bad choice, wrong choice.
Personally, this is controversial, but I'm anti Panera's macaroni and cheese.
Whoa.
Silly goose.
Whoa. I agree.
Some people will disagree.
No, I agree. Here's what's wrong with it. It's creamy as fuck, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it's missing an actual like cheesy bite.
I think so too.
It's like, yeah, I believe that there's dairy in it, but it's missing a type of like the cheese isn't. It's not nutty. No. It's not sour.
It's just creamy.
It's not savory either.
No, it doesn't have flavor.
No, it's just guck.
I actually would pick Kraft macaroni and cheese over Panera's macaroni and cheese any day of the week.
Because Kraft mac and cheese is MSG. That shit tastes good. Listen.
Chemicals only.
The brain massage that MSG gives me via route of my tongue, that is crazy.
Sign me up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also am a big fan of, I think it's Annie's.
Annie's mac and cheese is so good.
Those are really good.
Their white cheddar macaroni.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, but see, it's got at least a tang to it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a bite. There's a tang. And you need that from a mac and cheese because you're really talking starch and dairy.
Yeah.
You need a little more than that.
Yeah.
You need MSG and artificial orange. Bam, bam, bam.
Literally. Oh my God. That stuff will really do wonders.
It will. So back to funks.
Yes.
What gets you out of when you have like the little funks, not the full like Collin existential life crisis, quarter life crisis,
on the verge of changing your entire
life. On the
life.
verge of changing your entire life. We're talking the little clouds,
sure.
The ones that you just like wake up and you're like, God damn it.
Oh my God, great question. You should start a podcast.
Ooh, we should start a podcast like we'll call it Funk It Up or something.
Oh my God.
Funk It Up with special guest host Silly Goose.
Silly Goose. I would listen.
No,
but that's a good question.
The little funks, when they come and they go, what helps fix them?
I think the easiest solution, but the one that I feel like I resort to dead last, is literally going outside.
Ooh.
Which I also say that as someone who works from home. I spend a lot of fucking time in this apartment.
Bet.
I'm definitely not going out inside often enough. I'm also probably not getting enough vitamin D.
Even with the Chicago summer, you're not getting enough.
But yeah, like even like today, for example, stressful work day, and I like stepped out on the back porch and I was like, oh my God, so this is what it feels like to be alive.
Right. My ancestors used to breathe oxygen instead of sitting on Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, literally.
Getting all these stupid ass notifications.
No, straight up.
Yeah.
And I also feel like, I mean, definitely exercise, which again, boring answer. And I hate that it's accurate, but moving your body really does wonders.
Let's talk about that. So the two things that you said are very much like therapeutic for your body.
Yeah.
When like
I'm saying that as a very sedative person.
Physiologically, humans, like before the 9-to-5 remote work grind, we hunted and gathered outside. They didn't even have inside because they didn't have
a home.
They didn't have, all they had was mud hut. They didn't have the remote work from the remote work from home space.
They didn't have laptops.
Not even Starbucks.
No Starbies.
So moving your body.
Yeah.
And challenging yourself with like actually using your muscles, especially if you're not doing that.
Clearly, there's a theme going on here.
There's a theme going on there, and it's just stuff that your body's like,
please.
I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
I have muscles because I'm supposed to be moving.
Yes.
And I don't know, we were like made for the elements, but we've managed to figure a way out to.
We close them all out, but we have these gorgeous windows.
Gorgeous windows, my God! And let's talk about these windows. So. These are very nice windows that you have to pay for.
Literally.
Every single month, you have to say, okay, I want to keep the windows.
Yeah, we'd love to keep the windows.
And to work to keep the windows, you have to do 9-to-5 remote job, which means you also, to compensate, have to get out of the apartment and not just open the window.
Right.
Well, these windows are openable though. Not all of them are. Some apartments in Chicago, you get like a nice bay window like this, and it's like this is
shut.
Yeah, this is ornamental, painted shut.
Just for looking.
Yeah, this is just for looking. And you know what these glasses are for? Reading, not looking. Reading.
So scholarly.
So scholarly. Reading, partially eaten books. Did you guys not talk? You guys talked about Twilight, but you didn't talk about how one of the books is like not on.
Chewed to bits.
What are you doing, Loka?
Literally.
Now where have you been?
No, straight up. That book actually, literally in the same summer, I don't know what was going on with my dog. I think this is actually around the time she got stomach cancer, so she was going through something. But she ate my Twilight book and she ate my Naked palette that we all had when we were like 15.
Well, okay.
And I still have it.
Okay, so there are a few Naked palettes.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the Naked? It's like it's the nudes and neutrals? Or which
earlier
one?
Than that.
Ooh, oh my God. Ancient Urban Decay lore.
Ancient Artifact. Yeah, literally.
Put that in the Met.
Literally.
Like ancient.
This chewed on.
Ancient Caucasian woman. Yeah. A Caucasian woman.
A relic from the past.
A relic from the past. 2011.
It's the brown suede one.
Yeah.
You know the one.
Yeah. I don't remember her name, but I do remember seeing it because that was the one that girls would bring in their Vera Bradley, Vera Bradley school bag. The Urban Decay palette would be in there.
Okay, clocked. Literally.
Gotcha, bitch.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
Guilty as charged.
I want a museum of things when do I want it to start? I want to say maybe about 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And I want it to end at like
years.
2018.
Okay, yeah.
So I want it to include
some crazy shit happened in there.
Cringy shit.
So I'm sensing, okay, again, this is coming from the female's perspective, yoga pants.
Yes. Yoga pants.
Some Aeropostale.
Yes.
Pre-wrap.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Pre-wrap. Lots of pre-wrap.
Plenty.
Pre-wrap aplenty.
Pre-wrap aplenty. Honestly, that should be the name of the podcast.
Really? Oh my God. Okay. What else? Like camis. Remember when everyone wore camis under their shirts?
Layered camis.
Layered.
Multiple camis.
And they would all have, so you would always tug it down so it would show out of your shirt, but then you tugged it in the same place all the time. So mine always had holes on the sides.
Oh my God. They were wear and tear.
Literally.
Wear and tear.
Okay. What else? There has to be more from the era.
I'm
tapping into some really specific years.
Yes. Makeup wise, I feel like there are definitely a few mascaras that are part of that.
Oh, oh my God, it's pink and green.
That's not
Great Lash or
yes, it's a Maybelline.
It's a Maybelline.
It's
product.
a Maybelline. Yes, one of those. I think a Kylie Jenner lip kit is also in there because I feel like that. I mean, it's on the tail end of that, but it also is still within that. Into. Yes, we grew into that, and I think I want that museum to have that type of trajectory. Like
I like that.
Like it's like a dozen.
The girls are getting lip injections.
Yes, like a dozen. Yeah, a dozen years of so many trends that none of them have really aged. I could see someone with a Vera Bradley bag. I don't think that's like butt ugly.
Unfortunately, I did bring one home to Madison last weekend.
That's not wrong.
I packed all my belongings in there and threw her over my back.
That's not wrong.
Thank you for saying
I do
that.
think it is. It's like a time capsule.
It is.
Because it had this insane growth, and that's what everything was.
A chokehold.
Yes, in that era, everything was this thing that no one knew about, and then everybody knew about, needed to have, and within 5 years, kind of meant nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, either lost sentimental value,
right,
or is completely insignificant.
Or like when we all had Longchamps.
Yes.
That was an era.
Yes. I think Birks have managed to be something that would fit in that.
Yes.
But also still has...
They've stayed relevant.
Stayed relevant, and I think that they deserve like a Hall of Fame.
They really do.
Of the things that survived that era, had their crazy peak of
long
like
lasting.
what the like people going up to their parents going like, I need Birkenstocks, and your parents are like, what the fuck are those?
Yeah. Same with like Uggs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Uggs had a harder falling out, but they are coming back.
They are coming back because I think Uggs finally realized that they're like, okay, they're the sentimental value.
Yeah.
Like they know that they are not built to last. They're built to get salt all over them and look like the crunchiest, nastiest foreskin that you've ever seen because it's suede. They are not weather tempered in the slightest. So they need to withstand the the course of time.
Yeah, you gotta seal those puppies
because
with spray.
Those shit are not gonna be weathered. Yeah. You will buy it, they will not survive one winter.
I mean, because if you really think about the actual material and structure of those boots, that's a slipper.
That is a slipper. It's a slipper boot that you're like, I'm gonna wear this in the rain and the snow.
I'm actually gonna put her to the test.
Yeah, it's like, let's see what these slippers can't do.
So true.
They can't do it. What would have survived that era? 2004 to like 2018. What has had its crazy peak, but it's still managed to survive somehow?
I mean, definitely Birks are in that category. I also feel like Lululemon.
Yep.
She's lasted.
She has lasted. Yoga pants, that's a little subjective. If we're talking like pink yoga pants where they're like all black.
Right.
And they've got like that giant waistband with like a pink zebra print.
Right.
Sorry.
She didn't make it.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Those didn't survive it. However, like, I feel like that did definitely introduce like true athleisure.
I think so too.
That sticks.
Yeah.
It may look a little different.
Right.
But she's
evolved.
Exactly.
With the times.
She's evolved. Now we're in like neutrals and skin tones and Skims. This is actually a sponsorship again. Gotcha, bitch. Yeah. 2 for 2. Kim
wishes.
DM'd me and she was like, hey fag. I'm like, what do you want? How'd you get this number?
Who do you know here?
Who do you know here? And she's like, can we talk about my stretchy pants that are $300?
Let's talk about them.
Are they actually that expensive? I actually don't know anything about them.
I've only perused the site a couple of times. They are expensive, though I will say I feel mostly neutral about the Kardashians. They are business women first and foremost, and I do admire that.
Yep.
However, everyone that I know who has purchased their products, honestly, people do ride or die for Skims. Like she really did something.
Skims are good American.
Yeah. Also
really good. I think that they are smart business women because they've managed to figure out that they're like, okay, like the TV show, yeah, that'll always be there, but I need my little gig on the side.
We're making side hustles.
Yeah, we're all in our side hustles.
Yeah.
Silly Goose is my side hustle.
And I love that.
And sponsorships on your podcast, which is your side hustle. What was I just about to... I remember. So you mentioned that like Skims are super expensive. What is your... I splurge on this. Like, it's expensive, but you do it anyway.
See, for me, I feel like it's actually vintage clothes. And I feel like the loophole there for me is that I'm shopping at vintage. So it's secondhand. So like if I were to buy it normal priced, however many years ago, it would cost me an arm and a leg.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it depends on...
So kind of a little trick.
Yeah, depending on the item. That makes sense.
What's yours?
What's mine? I don't really do that with skincare. That's not something that I consistently do.
Fair.
Because I don't do self-care, period.
Oh my God, hilarious. Really? Because you actually have beautiful skin.
I do have beautiful skin.
You're just one of those lucky ones.
I just drink a lot of water.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I have a lot of existential dread, which causes me to sweat. Okay, what do I splurge on? I feel like I would say glasses.
Okay.
I would say like glasses. I'm kind of like, yes, I know that this is expensive.
And accessories.
And accessories.
Silly Goose.
This bitch was not expensive.
I mean, yeah, you can kind of see it in her eyes.
You can you can see it in my eyes too. Not very expensive. I would say I would say like accessories.
Yeah.
That type of thing. I'm like, yeah, I know that this is expensive, but like it's ornamental and I like to ornament myself.
And I will say, I feel like with glasses, you can actually tell the difference when you do go cheap. Like those bitches are breaking.
Ooh, they are breaking.
Yeah.
But that's part of the gig is like, I buy a cheap pair. I know that they are made to break.
Sure.
And that's okay.
Especially if you're swapping them out a lot, because I will say then you probably don't want to go expensive every time.
No. I made that mistake of like going for all these warpy pairs that a few of them I'm kind of like, why did I buy these? Like, I look like a dumbass when I put these on. Like when I first bought them, I'm like, ooh, I look like a professor. And when I put them on now, I'm like, I look like an old man.
For sure.
But sometimes you do need to kind of learn what suits you and what doesn't.
I agree.
That's definitely, I think, where
it's trial and error.
It's trial and error, and that is also with age. You start to understand what your style is and what your style isn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes there aren't hard limits. I think you're really good with, like, you have a lot of silhouettes, you have a lot of different pieces. You don't have like a set style in the sense of like, this can't, like, you're more so like, this can't be me,
right?
Rather than I know what works for me and it's like 4 things.
That's true. I feel like I definitely have like, I have a vibe, but yeah, I don't stick to like a specific style or genre,
or even like a dress code within that.
Yeah,
like you definitely put on an outfit that helps you. It helps create like an image, it creates a vibe, but it's not exactly an attire that's like Sam and the same old bum.
Well, and I like to kind of mix and match. I think that's what's so fun about style to me, is like pairing 2 things that a normal person would see those and be like, oh, I would never ever be able to wear those together.
Right. But you're not one of those crazy people in Brooklyn and Bushwick that's wearing like a bra on the outside of a men's button-up shirt with like pink yoga pants with the zebra print.
No, we're keeping it. We're using the clothes as they were intended.
Exactly. Using the clothes as they're intended, but still managing to kind of think outside the box and be a little thrifty with it too.
Exactly.
Because you're adopting other people's style. Like literally this was their article of clothing, and you're like, nah, I know how to dress this up. I'm gonna wear these with some fucking cowboy, wear these with some cowgirl boots.
You know me too well.
And I'm gonna do like a funky tote, and then you're like creating something more personal, even if it literally wasn't yours to begin with.
No, for sure. And I think that's like my favorite part about, I think clothes are a great way to do self-expression, because 1, I can't do my makeup. 2, I'm constantly changing my hair, so we can't count on that kind of being the thing.
Ooh, but it still is.
It is.
It still is. It may not be it may not be like your true north of consistency, like me, where the buzz ain't going anywhere.
And I kind of love that you have that, and that's like your anchor now.
That is my anchor. It's like you can change all these accessories. You can put on a silly little goose bag. Okay, you're really not saying much here. There are 2 people actively participating in this podcast.
You can't count on him for shit.
No, can't count on you for shit. But you can't. But I can count on like. I honestly feel like since I've started doing the consistent thing of like buzz cut, like always feel that will always be there regardless of whatever I'm wearing. It makes me feel a little bit almost like a Polly Pocket, or like some type of other fashion doll that we had like growing up. Like you can change all these outfits, but the base thing is literally not going to
the same.
That's not going anywhere.
Totally.
Yeah.
What has been like, because I feel like you have also been experimenting a little more in terms of like stepping out in new clothes, having fun. What's been your favorite way to experiment thus far?
My new favorite thing is, and this is something that I've challenged myself more so with this past summer, is putting on clothes that I don't care what my gender is. I don't care what the gendered intention of this garment is. I'm putting it on.
Totally.
So when it comes to things like skirts and dresses, that's something that I've engaged so much more.
Yeah.
And I've gotten such good feedback from like friends, from strangers even, saying like, great. Oh my God, you look I love this. I'm like, yep, thank you.
Totally.
And
well, and you have a great figure.
Oh, thank you. That again is the existential dread for you. That keeps me thin.
Love.
But that's been really fun to do, is to play with gender a little bit more. And I'm gonna look however I look. I don't care if I'm in a suit, if that screams male, sure. If I throw on like a funky hoop and I have a few dresses that are like print, it's like the pattern is like a woman's form, like we're talking breasts and no penis,
literally.
But like I throw that on because I think that it's another way to express myself.
Yeah.
And I really love doing that, and I know that it kind of like makes me stand out more,
for sure.
But that's something that I find that's not daunting anymore.
See, and I think that that's like awesome, because I think that's when you know you're having fun with how you're kind of presenting yourself, you know? And clothes are just one way to do that, but if it's working, amazing.
Exactly. I have really it's taken a lot of work, both like within myself,
for sure,
to give less of a fuck about like looking like other people.
Yeah.
I've learned that I don't want to look the way other people do. I spent so much of my life very attached to what are other people wearing, what are other people doing.
Totally.
And I need to do that because that's just what the mode
what the majority is doing.
That's what the majority is doing. Like we talked about earlier, that all of these trends like popped up, and I think that was just a product of our childhood and our teenage years, is that that's what the expectation was.
For sure.
The people who didn't do that or didn't have the money to do it too, that's another thing.
That definitely played a role.
Yeah, that spoke to your status and how, and if you had a thumb on the pulse of like what is in mode. And I think now that we're later in our 20s, well, you know, later in our 20s, boo.
Literally.
Well, because now you're 27.
I'm 27.
I'll be 26 in January. So now that we're at that point in our lives, it's kind of up to you to say, nuh-uh, I don't give a shit if people are getting into like a knit vest or whatever.
For sure.
I'm only going to wear one if I want to fucking wear one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wear it how I want to wear it. I'm going to wear it with cowgirl boots, and I'm going to wear it with a skirt wrap if I want.
Yeah.
Sorry, James. But I'm going to do that because it's how I choose to express myself. And I think Chicago is really good with that.
I think so too.
I haven't lived in the only other city that I've lived in my adulthood, at least, is Iowa City. Comparing the two, definitely, I mean, I wasn't really doing the buzz there.
Sure.
I definitely wouldn't be challenging myself to really push the limit of like, what do I want to look like, and how does that like foster Collin?
Right.
Like, what does that do for Collin?
Right, your whole identity.
The whole identity.
Yeah.
And I think that we have the luxury of doing that now because we're outside of college, where the whole point is that you're you're a Badger, is that you're a Hawkeye. You want to...
Because, it's so much more of like a communal identity versus now I can just be Sam.
Exactly. You can just be Sam, and Sam wears what she wants. She finds the pieces. And we have all these occasions that we can wear shit to. Like we just had...
a themed event.
Exactly. A themed event. Good themed event that just came up was Cat's Going Away party. Rar.
Incredible theme.
The vibe was like leopard print, red, black,
leather,
sexy leather, evening wear.
Yes.
And everyone got a good take on what to do with that. What did you wear for that?
So for me, I don't wear a ton of animal print. So I was like searching through my closet, and then as soon as she said red and leather, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Rethink. I have items for this that still feel like Sam. And I had this dress. I'd actually only worn it one other time. It's definitely giving like Western cowgirl. It's red and black, and it has all this fringe all over it.
Yep.
And then I put on a tall leather boot.
Yes. Anything fringe, I have a big attachment with because my mom was in Will Rogers Follies, if you're familiar with what that is. And her first gig as like a dancer was in Opryland. So, and she's from Oklahoma. So all of this like Western stuff.
Okay.
That definitely speaks to me. So seeing you in that, I'm like, absolutely.
Well, and you know how attached I am to my cowgirl boots, so I love a Western flair.
Yeah, love a Western flair, and finding ways that wasn't on the list of it wasn't like a wear Western.
Yeah.
But that was your take on that. Yes. Your take on RAR. I went to, because another thing that I've gotten into is like cropping shit, like anything that I feel like,
which is really fun,
which is a lot of fun, getting that little fabric pizza cutter and going like,
and it's such a good way to like rework pieces you wouldn't normally wear.
Exactly. I took a women's one piece from Target, leopard print, and I managed to turn it into this like twist tied like bikini top, and I just wore that with some like fun pants, and
simple, really.
Exactly. A simple thing. But I definitely wouldn't have done something like that. Like Collin a few years ago even, but still in Chicago, would have been like, ooh, no one asked me to wear that.
Yeah.
So why am I doing that? I probably would have gone something a little more like safe on the nose. I would have tried to find something like a leopard print t-shirt, and I can still find ways to dress down and still with things like this, I think I'm challenging myself more with like color to be like, sure, this is a little more basic, but find a way that it still is you. And that has been really, really fulfilling to try and challenge that a little bit more.
I think that's awesome. I feel the same. Like even when we were talking about athleisure before, like I still to this day, I'm trying to figure out a way to wear tennis shoes that feel like me. Because like I said, I love a heel.
Right.
But sometimes heels don't make sense.
No, sometimes they don't. If you're like, hey, do you want to go on a walk Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Totally. And you're like,
let me put the boots on. That doesn't just make sense.
Let me throw on like a little pump boot.
Right. So I'm trying to find ways to like mix in athleisure, but that still don't feel like I don't dress that way. So then how can I dress it up where it still feels like me?
Right. And I think that at least where we are in fashion, there's so much that is referential.
Yeah.
Is that if you throw on like bike shorts and one of these, it's like, that's Princess Diana.
Right.
But still, it's not the wrong choice. And that is athleisure.
Yeah.
In a way. And it's all right. It is. So I appreciate that we're at a point with fashion where it doesn't matter really what decade you're referencing.
I think so
unless we're talking about 2010s. That I feel like if you're throwing it back to that.
Yeah.
If you're throwing it back to like the weirdest graphic tee with like Domo on it, and it says like homework sucks.
Oh my god.
And you're wearing it with gauchos and Uggs.
Oh my god, gauchos.
I feel like that is the only decade that you're really actually like, okay, well, why that one?
Right.
But if you're dressing,
nobody looked good back then.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even Y2K, that's come back with full swing. Especially I've definitely leaned into that with my stupid ass tank tops that I just put rhinestones on. Oh my god.
I do kind of love that you've gotten into rhinestones.
That's another thing that I've gotten into is I bought a pack of rhinestones, 2,000.
Total. Oh my god, 2,000.
2,000 count of rhinestones, and a giant ass toothpaste tube size of E6000.
Naturally.
And anything that can be rhinestoned will be rhinestoned at this point.
And I love that.
I'm gonna put some stupid shit. I got a hat that says bitch on the brim.
You rhinestone that yourself?
Yeah, I did that myself.
Oh my god, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I literally thought you bought it like that.
No, the hat, the cat's, or it's like a trucker hat.
Yeah.
It says howdy on the top, but I just put bitch on the bottom just because I felt like it.
Love.
And at least the three wife beaters of the apocalypse. Now I have Pussy Tank, which
naturally
was introduced
was she first?
She was first.
Okay.
Pussy Tank was first for Pitchfork and was absolutely fabulous.
She was a hit amongst the crowd.
She was a hit. And then I think like 2 weeks later I made one that says penis, and then for
her counterpart,
exactly, her younger brother, and then the NB sibling is boobs with an exclamation point. I'm getting into punctuation.
I really love the exclamation.
Yes,
because honestly, it's not just boobs.
It's boobs. No, because if it's just boobs, then it's like those bracelets they used to say, like, I heart boobs, I heart boobies.
Wow, those were also kind of cultural impact, though.
Yes, the amount of wristbands that we went through, the bracelets,
the
what
silly
was up bands. With that? What was up with that? I mean,
because it went from Live Strong to I Heart Boobies to silly bands.
It like went from big to very little, and it's literally like a rubber band. I don't think, do we have a trend for bracelets
right now?
Not really. I mean, like
an Apple Watch,
an Apple Watch.
Unless you're going to the Eras tour.
True, unless you're going to the Eras tour. I'm going to be honest. All right, now this is where your podcast is officially going to get canceled. Swifties, what the fuck does that mean?
I know.
Why do you make wristbands that go from here to here? I don't think I don't know much in Taylor Swift lore. Does she do that?
I don't think
Did she tell
so.
people like, hey, for my Eras tour, do this?
Also, like
Why do
I'm
you do
wondering,
that?
because to me, that's like candy at EDM shows.
Right.
Is there a huge crossover between the two audiences? I can't imagine.
I don't know much about the EDM people, but I do know this, is that there's something called like a peace, love, happiness or something where, yes, there's an actual thing. There's a name to it. Yeah. And you transfer it. But the reason why they do that is because it's like hey, I just met you, but you're so cool, and we're at this like amazing little festival.
I want to give you a piece of me.
I want to give you this little thing. That's cute.
Yeah.
Swifties, do you do that?
Right. Where's your cool handshake?
Yeah. Do you do that? I think you just made 45 wristbands or 45 friendship bracelets that just say like
Taylor Swift lyrics.
1989.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you do that.
No, we don't get it.
I'm gonna be honest. It's like finding out that people that you know are Republican.
I agree.
Instead of going to like a Trump rally, they're at the Eras tour. And suddenly,
it's like, that says a lot about
who it says a lot about them. Yeah. And I like see that and I'm like, okay, I like that for you, but just just please be safe.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps me understand people a little bit more than I wanted. Yeah,
it comes full circle.
It does come a little more full circle. I'm like,
suddenly it all makes sense.
Are there any bands or any artists that you are like a ride or die for in that fashion, that there's like a big following that builds like an identity around? Because the Swifties, that's its own,
right?
That is it's like a political identity.
It is. Yeah.
Is there any band that you're that much of a like fans of like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard?
Sure.
Don't make wristbands like that.
No, yeah.
Like,
yeah, they're busy doing other things.
They are busy doing other things. And the other things is magic mushrooms.
Yeah, literally. No, I feel like for me, the closest I feel like I get is like, I'm an indie music girl. So maybe not like a specific band, but like just even the concept of being like, oh, you like indie music?
Oh, you don't know this band. You've probably never heard of that. Okay. And I think we're both we're both
I'm
guilty
not proud.
of that. No, not proud of it. I know what I sound like when I go, oh, so it's this one band. Yeah. They only have about like 9,000 listeners on Spotify. And yeah, I used to listen to them on Bandcamp.
They're opening for somebody.
Yeah, I'm not actually here for the main thing. I'm here for the opener. Yeah. Which I fully did for Ethel Cain and Caroline Polachek. I was a big fan.
I'm so mad I missed that concert.
So are you familiar with Caroline Polachek?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you listen to Chairlift?
Yes.
Yes. I was a big fan of Chairlift.
Yeah.
So I was a little like, oh yeah, like she does her own music now.
Totally.
And I listened to like a few songs on Pang, but really didn't listen to much on Desire I Want to Turn Into You.
I will say I love all of her music.
Oh yeah.
But I love Ethel Cain.
Oh yeah, but I love Ethel Cain, bitch. I was like, I'm here to see House in Nebraska
100%.
and cry amongst strangers.
Totally.
Which happened.
Beautiful experience.
It happened at the Riviera. But then I also fell in love with that album.
Yeah.
You didn't get to see Caroline when she was here. Do you know anything about like her at least this tour? She has this giant backdrop and there are all these projected like visuals for each song. They're all incredibly different and it helps me understand the song better. Sure. It definitely helps because she's a very enigmatic like type of artist.
100%.
She's a lot like Wise Blood like that.
Yeah.
That you may listen to the song, but you may not actually like get what it's about.
Yeah,
but
that's really
she gets
interesting.
to deliver it in such a way that's so clear.
I love that about seeing live music in general, because sometimes, especially kind of when you're in like the indie scene, a lot of the music, no offense, can kind of sound the same.
Oh yeah.
And then I feel like when you do see them live and you see how they actually deliver a song, or even just like how they move on stage, or if they crank up the bass, or if they kind of like get angry while they're singing it, it's like, okay, so you're singing this way different. Like the energy you're bringing is so much different than how I was listening to it.
And especially with indie, I will say this, like I'll give more credit to the Swifties because at least Taylor Swift songs are very clear.
They are.
It's like this.
That girl spells it out for you.
Yeah, it's like this is about a breakup. This is about a bad breakup, and I feel this way about the breakup.
Yes.
There are a lot more indie songs where
they keep you guessing, babes.
Grungy man, woman, NB, whatever, into a microphone being like, looking out the garage.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
Like,
and there are so many moods that could be.
Exactly. It's like, what
this could be the happiest bag of Cheetos. This could be the saddest bag of Cheetos.
Exactly. It's like, I don't understand the bag of Cheetos, let alone the song.
Are we crying into the Cheetos?
Exactly. Or are we like lighting the Cheeto on fire and smoking it like it's a cigarette? Like, why? And also, what kind of Cheetos too? Cheetos Puffs, Hot Cheetos, Cheetos Original, or the jalapeno Cheetos. It's like you aren't painting a clear enough of a picture. No. And of course, the name of the song won't be like Bag of Cheetos. It'll be like Tuesday. Yeah. Like every Tuesday.
Oh my God, that's so
one
true.
One really bad Tuesday, one really good Tuesday.
Right.
There's one song I forget the band, but it's a super sad song, but the name of the song is Aesthetic, more like Ass Pathetic.
Oh my God, wait, funny.
But it's when you listen to it, like I think
I've seen that written out.
Yes, but I'm like
on my Spotify.
Hold on, let me find.
You and I do have a lot of overlapping.
We do
music taste.
What? Okay, so we recently just talked about Tops. We talked about Dead. I know that we talked about this last time. Hey, gay boy.
Of course, my son's coming to join us. He must know in like a podcast, he's like, all right, you guys have been at this long enough. It's time for me to insert myself.
Exactly. It's like, listen here. This dude wasn't contributing anything. Misha, any zingers for the crowd?
Say something. Anything.
This little boy just had surgery. Did you already talk about it on the pod?
We have a little. I honestly don't think I've gone into much detail, but it's a surgery he's had in the past. And he cost us an easy $4,000, but the things that we do for our children. The
things that we do for health in general. Truly. And of course, managing to bring it back. No shit and piss this time. Sorry, guys. That is how I wish that we could change so much about healthcare and just having to work to be alive in general.
Yeah.
Let alone work
I
to
think healthcare,
keep
specifically
your health.
Having tied to your job, is really complicated because, sure, obviously healthcare has to cost some amount of money. We have to pay the people who are providing those services.
Correct.
But making it tied to being employed is kind of insane.
And I think that we have, at least in America, no, thankfully I'm not disabled, but we have things like Medicare and Medicaid for people and disability for people who literally cannot work.
Yeah.
But that is such a hurdle.
For sure.
That you could have you could have a fucked up knee that actually needs surgery.
Right.
And you want to go to the best surgeon, but you need to actually go to the surgeon that is actually willing to say, yeah, I could do it for Medicare.
Right.
I could do it for Medicaid.
See, and I think that's crazy. Can you opt out?
Can you opt out?
In terms of being the doctor, can you be like, I'm not going to? You
totally can. Private practice, you can say, we don't accept.
Seriously?
We don't do Medicare or Medicaid.
Wow.
And there are even some hospitals too that don't take or that have certain reciprocity with some Medicaid.
Okay.
You need to have a mix up Medicare and Medicaid. Here's the difference. Medicare, this is how I remember it. You have to care about old people.
Okay.
So Medicare is when you're elderly.
Sure.
That you can finally qualify for that.
Yep.
Medicaid is what we have if you are low income.
Okay.
And you can't afford private insurance and you don't have the means of getting it or paying for it through your employer.
Okay.
But you can have Medicaid supplement plans that are through an insurance company. So you could have Humana, but you don't have a Humana HMO. You have a Humana Medicaid.
I see.
And there are still, even with that, it's not like you're literally getting all of your healthcare paid through the state. You're getting it, because that's another thing too. Illinois Medicaid and Indiana Medicaid are not the same thing.
Oh, interesting.
They aren't. It depends on the state that you're in, and that has its own limitations too.
Like even the kind of coverage you can get.
Absolutely.
And all that.
Even the coverage that you can get, the places that you can go.
I see.
It's super limiting. So, and there are some doctors that if you go private practice, you have that kind of luxury of saying like, no, I'm going to do surgery on people that I could confidently bill.
Sure.
And like make and be their debtor.
Yeah.
Which is funny. And the privatization of healthcare in that sense is super funky for nurses. At least I can only speak to this perspective, is it's hard to be like, I'm doing what I do because I want to help people.
Of course.
But it's shitty when it's my job to deliver the reality of like, this is like, hey, insurance isn't going to cover this medication.
Right.
Why? Because they just don't.
Yeah.
And they're like, but you prescribed this because I need it. It's for this diagnosis.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's not for the wrong diagnosis. It's just insurance doesn't care if you get a boner. So insurance is going to be like, insurance is going to be like, yeah, you can buy Viagra out of pocket.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for that.
Right.
Silly.
Well, and that's why I was actually really interesting hearing you talk about insurance even earlier today at dinner, just because over the sense of like, you phrased it as going to the dark side.
Going to the dark side.
Because you're like gatekeeping.
It is gatekeeping. There are this specific type of scan that we want to give people. It's called a PET scan. I don't know if I ever talked to you about that.
Sure.
So a PET scan, essentially what it is they put a radiograph in your body and they look all over the place for high amounts of cell growth and cell turnover, specifically in the context of cancer. This is like, hey, where's the cancer?
Okay.
This scan is invaluable because it can really help determine like if you can do another round of radiation.
Sure.
If you can do chemo for this. It's really informative on where your cancer is. Like, yeah, we know it's bladder cancer.
Sure.
But it's not just gonna grow in your bladder if it doesn't want to. It'll hop a ride in your lymph node and it'll start to grow or the big one too is breast cancer.
Yeah.
It's not like your boobs grow so big that you die.
Yeah.
That's not what...
Wouldn't that be something?
That's not what breast cancer is. But the problem is that these PET scans are so hard. There's so much red tape.
Sure.
And for some patients, we've gotten pushback from insurance that they're like, no, the PSA level, which detects like prostate cancer, needs to keep going up.
Okay.
So they're like, no, you need to buy more time to prove that the cancer is back with a vengeance.
Oh, I see.
For us to actually say, okay, now you can get the scan, so now we can figure out where it is in your body.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Even especially for patients that are like post-op, we remove your prostate, you shouldn't have prostate anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the PSA says, no, you still got prostate cells growing. You're not supposed to. So it's shitty within like insurance that they are the ultimate final say because of how expensive this scan is, because this is the other thing with privatization of healthcare is in good conscience, hospitals don't want to do this crazy expensive scan, which is like $20,000 on someone that clearly can't afford it.
Yeah.
Because they want to get reimbursed by insurance.
I see.
So they're not going to do it.
It becomes such a game.
Yeah, they're not going to do it. And I get patients that are on the phone with me. I have a phone call that sticks in my mind of a wife her husband had prostate cancer, had his prostate removed, and his PSA is up. It shouldn't be there at all. It should basically be 0.
Sure.
And if it's above like 0.2 at that point, it's like, no, it's back.
Okay.
And she was sobbing to me on the phone like, I'll pay out of pocket. And it was my job to be like, I believe you.
Yeah.
However, they're still not going to do it.
Yeah.
That is really shitty. And it's not my favorite part of my job.
Totally.
But I like that about outpatient is because it kind of helps bring people a little more insight into what the reality is of healthcare.
Of course.
Because it doesn't matter if a doctor is going to sit in front of you saying, I want to get this PET scan.
Yeah.
If you aren't aware of just how many barriers there are into why you can't actually just get it tomorrow.
Sure.
It's not just the availability of an appointment.
Right. Would you say, because I know obviously you've had ups and downs so far in your career, as everyone does, like healthcare is long game for you. You like it?
Healthcare is long game for me, not because because I don't like the climate of it, but I do like that it helps people.
For sure.
I could, like, just like anybody, and I know that I was like, when I texted Sam, I was like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, well, we could talk about death.
Literally.
Even anyone that's listening right now, either one of us, any of us can die any day. One of us could be crossing the street, get clipped by a car, and that's it. Or one of us could be, we're young and we're healthy for now, and in 5 years that can change.
Right.
But I want the confidence of knowing that I at least helped people in some way, even if it's simple stuff like help man get boner pill or like whatever.
And we love that for him.
We love that for him. Get bricked up, dude.
Doing God's work.
Exactly. Doing God's work, but not sex work. Technically.
Walking that very thin
line between medical professional and sex guru.
And I actually love that.
I love that for me. But I would still stick through it because I want to have the confidence that I at least help people, but not that that's the only way to get fulfillment from what you do. We have so many friends that are creatives, and that makes sense too because they're helping this world, which is so full of adversity, and they're bringing this beauty to it.
Yeah.
And like for you, it's something much more personal. It's like less so like I'm making this building look pretty. It's you're helping people express themselves.
Yeah.
Especially with women, it's like the standard is women are the ones that have longer hair or something.
Right.
And that get to do all these like fun, more dynamic things with their hair and with their body and that type of stuff. So that's at least the way that I help people. But if I were to leave healthcare, I would want to still find a job that I think is about people in some way. At the core. I think I'm a people person, and that it just happened to be that I'm a nerd and I like human fizz.
For sure. No, that makes total sense to me. I actually think of like marketing in a really similar way to the way that you think of like, nursing. Because on the one hand, am I playing into the system? Am I selling people things? Am I like, moving the capitalism needle along?
Right.
Totally.
I don't think that there's there are very few roles that exist
that aren't doing that
outside of that world.
Yes, like so few.
It's very, very few, and on top of that,
it's the system we live in.
Yeah, it's the system that we live in, and there are only so many roles that you could possibly assume,
right,
to do that. But
and for me, like,
you find a way to do it.
The stuff that I'm marketing. Like for me, the hair industry has like a special little place in my heart where like at least I believe in it. And like I do see the impact that it has on people, even if it's maybe a little bit vain. Your personal appearance matters. Feeling good in your body, your skin, your haircut, whatever it is,
right,
makes a difference.
Your haircut, your hair color.
Having a healthy body.
Yeah, having a healthy body.
Yeah.
You only get one life.
Truly.
Okay, you only get one life that you know about at the given time.
So true.
Whether you believe in reincarnation or not.
Truth.
This is your body. This is your life.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do with it? And
mic drop.
So what are you going to do with it? And I want to at least help people through that. And the nature of my job can sometimes be helping them through the worst of it.
Of course.
But it's still a valid contribution to other people's lives to help them through the best of it, or help them elevate that even further. Like my mom dyes her hair. It's always been something that has been a big part of her identity, and it's not something that's going away.
Totally.
And if everyone just kind of said, well, that doesn't actually matter.
Right.
There would be a big part of herself that would be that there would be a void there.
I mean, clearly it matters. It's like a several $billion industry,
yeah,
baby.
If it's a $1 billion industry, it does kind of matter.
The collective is right. Like, yeah, we're dyeing our hair.
Yeah, the collective is we're dyeing our hair, we're cutting our hair, we're doing whatever the fuck we want with our hair because it's always going to grow. Or for some people, it doesn't.
True.
But like, you still want to be able to help support people through whatever it is that they're going through, whether it's through their expression, whether it's through the downside of having this body and living in it.
If they're in a funk.
That is something that I've like kind of thought about, is like what my transition could be if I were to go in like higher education.
Sure.
Is it maybe something a little more akin to like mental health?
Yeah.
Because I've definitely realized in the past few years is just how invaluable that is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you got a silly goose bag. Sorry about it, bitch. It doesn't matter if you have silly goose bag. It doesn't matter how many pairs of glasses you have.
Truly.
It doesn't matter if you love your haircut or hate your haircut.
Honestly.
There are things that need actual attending to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
You got to take care of the inside first.
You got to take care of this at least at some point. It may not need to be priority number one, but if you neglect it, it'll still be there. It
doesn't matter what cool outfit you got on.
No, it doesn't matter. That can bring a lot of serotonin, but at least that outfit has to come off because you have to wash it.
Yeah, so true.
Because bitches be stinky.
Literally.
But it's hard to assume that role in like helping people through mental health if you also don't have perfect mental health yourself. I think, which
nobody does, which is why I find that career to just be so unbelievably fascinating, because I can't imagine absorbing everybody else's,
absorbing
funk.
Their trauma, absorbing their own funk, not having that impact me. I don't know if and I can figure this out in a little bit of time. Again, I don't know when I'm going to die, but I can figure it out eventually. Come on in.
He's back.
Welcome back, Misha.
Do you know who this is?
Misha meets Silly Goose.
Misha meets Silly Goose.
Misha's looking at Silly Goose like, who are you?
Oh my God, literally so funny.
Oh. Are you guys going to kiss?
Kiss. Oh. Hilarious.
Oh man.
That one's for the people watching the YouTube.
That's for the YouTube crowd. Oh, sweet Misha. I don't know how it would affect me to do it, because I've had a lot of patient cases that they get to me.
Totally.
It's mainly the medical stuff, but I definitely deal with the oh my God, I can't believe.
I mean, it's heavy work.
Yeah, it's heavy work, especially when I was in the ICU dealing with like brain death and like the sudden loss of either bodily function or just death.
Yeah.
Just dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can deal with things that are a little less solvable.
Sure.
Or a little less black and white. Like when someone's dying, they're dying because that's what we do.
Right.
We all are born in this world and we will all die.
Yeah.
So that at least is a little easier for me to understand. I don't know if I would have the right tool set to help someone grapple with things like eating disorders.
Sure.
Sexual assault.
Yeah.
Domestic violence. All of those things, because I don't have an answer.
Right.
And maybe the whole point of that type of mental health care and attending to them is not having an answer.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that would affect me.
No, totally.
Selfishly, I don't think that is something that I'm built to have those tools for.
That makes sense.
I'm a communicator. I love talking with people about it. But I don't know if what I would have would be something helpful.
Yeah.
I could definitely tell someone like I'm so sorry, that's like so fucked up, but they're not going to those resources because they need an apology.
No, totally.
They're going to that resource because they're like, how do I keep living?
I will say sometimes I think they are using those resources because they need someone to listen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they are looking for solutions too. That's definitely like, yeah.
I think I could definitely do something with grief counseling.
Totally.
Because
literally in your field right now, you're doing some of that anyways.
Dude, it doesn't matter if the job description says urology, ambulatory nurse.
Right.
Death is still in there.
For sure.
Death is still in there. But it's... I wonder what that role would be like.
Yeah.
That would maybe be... Like, I don't have many aspirations when it comes to... Like, nursing needs to involve X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
But I think that I could do that.
Yeah. That could be something to explore.
Do you have like it could be a pipe dream. It could be like I've thought about this for a while, or like maybe wouldn't it be cool if someday I could blank? Do you have anything like that, at least career aspirational?
Yes and no. I feel like I go back and forth all the time. Like I love the field that I'm in. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm totally, participating in a capitalist society.
Yeah.
And marketing is fun. Also, sometimes like the social media of it all gets to me where I'm like, is this really healthy? Is this what I want to be doing? But there's such a give and take to all of that. I think I've thought about like how fun it would be to mix my love for vintage and like hosting events and music and kind of tie that all up into something. But I think it's really hard for me to put a finger on the pulse of like, do I have a dream career? Is work even what I want to be dreaming about?
Ooh, that's a fair thing, because I'm that type of person where my work is definitely something that like fills me enough that it does do that.
Yeah.
But for some people it's not really that, and that's okay. It's for some people it's your art. It's what you do with your personal self, not your professional self.
Well, and I always grew up thinking that like I definitely wanted to be a career woman. I feel like I grew up in the age of like Sex and the City.
Ooh.
And you saw Carrie Bradshaw doing her thing.
Oh, yeah.
And like very much journalism was that for me. Like I was like, oh, I want to be a writer. And then the kind of natural progression of like girls my age, I feel like that very much lent itself into like the marketing agency communications world in the digital age.
Welcome to the digital age.
Literally.
For the people who are watching.
For the people back home.
Or also for the people who are listening. I think that still technically counts as the digital age.
That's true.
I don't think there's anything about this podcast that doesn't count as digital.
No podcast pre-digital age.
No. What did they do pre-digital age? What were their podcasts?
Yeah, straight up.
What, radio?
Telling stories.
Oh, yeah, campfire
around
stories.
The fireplace.
Yeah, doing a peace pipe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
literally.
Does this count as a peace pipe, Misha?
Essentially. It's about as close as we can get.
That's about as close as I can get to this dude.
But I will say, I feel like as I've gotten a little bit older, and I don't know if my priorities have changed or...
Absolutely, your priorities may have changed.
Yeah.
They'll continue to do that. That doesn't stop.
Well, and I think I've realized like I need such a balance to like work and life, where I don't think my career, as glamorous as it could possibly be, would ever give me all the things I want, because I love being able to have time to like, I love shutting my laptop at the end of the day and meeting up with friends and having time for community, right. Or like even time to just spend with James or hang out at home with my cats. Like I need to be able to shut work off. I don't like living to work. I like working to live. I mean, I would kind of prefer just to do the living part, but that's not really an option.
No, but that's not really an option. I think I'm honestly a little more so the live to work type.
Yeah. Which I actually feel like in a career like being a nurse, you sort of have to be, because one, it consumes so much of your physical body, your headspace, your actual time. Yeah,
my actual time, that's something I think I appreciate about the work time is, and even in this next role with it being not patient facing at all,
yeah.
I'm probably not gonna talk with with a patient at all. If I may, it's literally just like
look at you getting a desk job.
I know me getting a desk job, but at least that desk job, I know how that translates to the patient care.
Of course.
It's like these aren't just names and birthdays.
Yeah.
These are actual people. This is actual care.
And you've been on the other side of it, so I feel like that gives you more appreciation for like almost the administrative component.
Absolutely. And I think maybe that could be part of it, but I just have had had such shitty interactions with healthcare administrators that I think maybe being a nurse could help me be a better healthcare administrator.
For sure.
Or give that better insight. But I don't know what the future holds. Nobody knows what the future holds.
They really don't.
We talked about this a little bit, that it doesn't matter if you have all these like perfect plans.
Oh my gosh. You can plan all day long.
No, the universe will do what it will do. You could say that you were saving up all of the costs of Misha's healthcare. That was supposed to be going for like a trip for you and James.
Yeah,
or something
fun.
Yeah, something fun. Something not medical bill.
Not a credit care account.
But that's just how life goes.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbles, and you just kind of need to be able to pivot with
truly
how things change.
Which I think is something that you have proven to do. You're pivoting right now.
I am definitely mid pivot. It may prove to be a total 180 pivot. It may be a full 360 pivot.
We're not sure how far you're turning yet.
No, I don't know.
But I don't know how far. Okay.
And that is okay. That was definitely something that when I didn't know where and I didn't know when, it was very encompassing.
Yeah.
That it, like, all of my time was going to thinking about, where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to do?
For sure.
And you can spend a lot of time doing that. I think that there's productivity in that.
I think so too. Definitely some self-discovery. But at the same time, eventually, like we said, you can plan all day, but the universe will like show you her signs.
The universe will show you her signs. You could have the opportunity that role that you envisioned you could be interviewed and teed up for it. And then what if you don't get it?
Right.
What do you do then?
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to pivot again. You'll have to think a little more creatively.
Which is also why you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
No, you can't. Which I think that is something that I'll definitely learn with nursing, is that I can't put all of my eggs in that one basket, because then what if I want a fried egg and I ain't got any?
Straight up.
Bitch, and I don't got any eggs.
And yours are all scrambled.
Ooh, yeah. Life will scramble your eggs.
Life literally will scramble
whether they're
your eggs.
In your fridge or they're in a frying pan.
That is so true.
Life will find a way to scramble them.
Life will scramble your fucking eggs. Well, before we wrap up, I would literally love to do our little thought exercise. Did I make you do it last time? I can't remember.
I don't remember anything. I don't even remember what I ate for breakfast this morning.
Okay, fair.
But I would love to do a thought exercise.
Okay, so the thought exercise that I've been trying to do on every closeout of this podcast, because of course this is the Pessimistic at Best podcast, and we like to be little negative Nancy's over here, is Rose and a Thorn. I'm sure you've done it.
Oh, yes. Rose and a Thorn, peach in a pit. Yes.
And we'll do it up today.
Rose and a Thorn of today.
And don't say this podcast, get creative.
Okay. So let me think. A simple rose that I can think of is, I have my cousin's wedding coming up.
Yes.
And I bought a new suit. It's like it's powder blue. It was,
oh my gosh, fun.
It was a little expensive, but
totally.
It was one of those things that I was like, I want this. I want this for me.
Treat yourself.
I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna look good. It's worth it.
You will be a vision in powder blue.
That is a very good one. Here's my thorn. I had to get my fingerprints taken for the State of Oregon Board of Nursing.
Okay, totally.
And the dude who took my fingerprints, it was in this like shipping center. It just
always?
Happened to be like, it wasn't like a freestanding, we do fingerprints.
Right.
Place of business, whatever.
It can never be that simple.
And that gentleman, I like knew that it was the right address. So I walk in there and I don't see anything in there. And I'm like, hi, I'm so sorry. I'm looking for blah, 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 place of fingerprinting. Am I in the right place? I know that it said it was next to the fitness center. And he says, yes, this is the right place. Can you pull up your email? And then I pull it up and he's like, do you see right there? You see that? That's where you are. This is this building. So you're here to get your fingerprints taken or what?
Oh my God, so unnecessary.
And also he held my hand the entire time, like thumb,
of course,
finger.
As
finger.
if you weren't.
Like I wasn't capable of doing that. So that was another thing too, is I love people, but I also don't love like strangers just grabbing me and shit.
Gripping and grabbing on your fingers.
Yeah, gripping and grabbing on my fingers. So if you're the weird ginger man who did my fingerprints right here, this fingerprint,
literally,
just because of the attitude, I don't think that that's really. Some people have a shit day. I get it. I have shit days where I have a little less patience for my patients, but. Even then, I don't think I give people that type of whack attitude.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, when you work in a job like that, where you are interfacing with people constantly, like, sure, have a million people probably come into that building and been like, I don't know where I am. Am I in the right place?
Am I in the right spot? It's like...
But the thing is, it's not going to stop just because you're giving them the attitude.
Yeah.
You could actually make their day and then probably bring that back up on your own self because you made them feel happy by just being like, oh my God, yes, you're in the right place, baby. Don't you worry.
Some people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Some people are not geared with that in mind.
Yeah.
So
because what you put out, you get back.
Exactly. So good suit, shitty dude.
Totally.
All right. What about you?
Okay. So for me
today,
I'll start with my thorn. My thorn today was work. I am in the middle of a very busy season at work. It was incredibly stressful, and like literally every year for one of my clients, we do this giant hair competition on Instagram. Every year it is stressful. So like I know when this season is coming up that it's going to be insane. This year was no different. But nevertheless, I like spent the entire day, like this was one of those days where I barely touched grass. I really needed to go outside. I spent the entire day like hunched over my computer. It's also tedious work because you're checking to make sure that like every entrance Instagram handle is spelled correctly and it's the right person in the right city in the right state and all these things. Yep. And it's boring. It's not fun. Lots of mistakes are going to be made. And I was literally sitting on that couch over there. My back was hurting. I was just like in this horrible gremlin position. And I was like, okay, I need to stand up. I need to go outside, like shake it out. So I think there is more planning I can do next year in order to make that better. And I mean, no matter what happens, like it's crazy every year. So I knew that it was going to be nuts. I at least was prepared, but nevertheless, lots of back pain. So definitely a thorn. I would say my rose was my team at work handled it with such grace. I feel very lucky to manage the girls that I do. It was very much like an all hands on deck effort, which I'm thankful for because that definitely made what would have been honestly an awful day just like a little shitty. Sure. And there is some camaraderie in like, okay, this sucks, but we're just going to do it.
Yep. I think when you have a good team like that where you know that you guys are just dealt the cards that you are, but you at least are all playing together.
Like we're in the trenches, but we're in there together.
Right. That is really what can make a shitty day just a day that you just have to get through it.
100%.
You just have to get through it. And
we did.
And here we are.
We had a lovely evening.
Always have a lovely evening.
And I'm so glad you came back on the pod.
Literally anytime.
And they're not getting rid of you anytime soon because you're staying.
For now.
At least 3 months.
For at least 3 months. For at least the rest of season 6.
Literally.
Season 6. Oh, that's so exciting.
Thank you. It feels good. It feels really good. I actually had somebody...
You should be proud of that.
I can't remember who was coming on the podcast recently. I think it was my friend Claire. Her episode's not out yet, but it will be soon. It will be by the time you're all listening to this. And she was coming on the pod and she like mentioned to somebody that she was doing a podcast that night. And he like went back and he was like, oh, like this girl's been doing this for a while.
Yep.
And I was like, you already know.
You are not brand new to this.
No. So it's been almost 3 years, I think, this November or something, which is like actually crazy. Maybe 2. I'll have to look, but
I think it's at least 2 years.
I think I hit 2 last November, so this must be 3. I can't imagine being that old, but
you know, you're gonna keep saying that.
I know.
That's not going away.
I feel that way now, even just at the age of 27. Like I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah, there is a way. Actually, believe it or not, it's
actually called science.
Yeah, it's actually called science. You're only going to keep getting older or you're going to die.
Literally.
There are two options.
Roll that dice, baby.
Roll that dice. See how it goes. You don't know.
You never know.
You never know. So, to the folks at home, find the people that you love, send them something nice, text them, do a podcast with them, eat dinner with them.
Give them a little smooch on the forehead if they're in a funk.
Exactly. Because we'll all have our funks. If you help someone through theirs, they'll be more likely to help you through yours in the ways that they can.
It's so true.
Cheers.
That's the beauty of friendship. And thank you guys for listening. We will be back with another episode next week. Bye.
Bye.
Another cathartic convo in the books. I feel better. How about you? Thank you so much for listening. Now I just want to jump on here and say, don't forget to follow and or subscribe to the pod on your favorite streaming platform for new episodes every single week, because I know you can't get enough of me. Additionally, if you want to gain access to exclusive episodes and lots of other goodies, join our Patreon and support the pod with your hard-earned American dollars. You can find the link in our show notes, or you can also visit us at patreon.com/pessimistic@best. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram @pessimistic@best. And if you're as obsessed with me as I am with you, you can find me at Sam Georgeson on all platforms. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to my podcast editor and producer, the love of my life, James Arbai, whom I literally could not do this without. So thank you, James. I love you so much. And thank you guys for joining me again this week. I love you too. And I cannot wait to chat with you again soon.